World on the BBC World Service. For the best of previews to the sporting weekend, listen to George Addo Jr. on the Locker Room on Joy 99.7 FM.
Live on radio, live online. This is the Locker Room on Joy 99.7 FM with George Addo Jr.
Liverpool and Manchester City are standing by for the new football season's precursor, the traditional curtain raiser to the action in England to come over the next 10 months.
Here we go again, new season, new titles, new managers, new signings.
There is a thrill, there is a delicious jeopardy in the air here.
Oh, what a goal! One of the greats!
Silva now back to Mahrez, centrally, brilliant turn, right foot shot, what a goal! That surely has won it! Unbelievable strength from the Egyptian, that flew like a rocket!
A game of margins, a game of thrills! Drama from day one! This is the league we want to watch!
Tradition dictates that the yearly Community Shield is usually contested between the Premier League and FA Cup winners. But as Pep Guardiola's side clinched all three domestic caps in 2018-2019, they will have to pit their wits against last season's top-flight runners-up.
Where in the penalty area, tries to lob the goalkeeper and succeeds! Superbly taken by Aguero!
Oxlade-Chamberlain, who gets past Fernandinho, shooting goal! What a start! What a strike from Oxlade-Chamberlain, scoring at Anfield!
Sun shot takes a deflection. Manchester City have the second goal, and it's Company who punches the air with delight as they increase their lead.
30 metres out from goal, Mane! It's a five-star performance!
We preview the action and ask how equipped both sides are for the title challenge. We are 6 days to Joy Transfer Deadline Day and the official end of the summer transfer window in England. There's more controversy and uncertainty, which promises more drama. We have our taps on who is moving where, and we weigh the veracity of potential deals on the show. Also coming up,
And it's lights out and away we go. It's a tentative start for everybody, but Hamilton gets away well, as does Bottas, and Verstappen's dropping back as Raikkonen is already ahead of him as well. Verstappen on the inside and Grosjean going wide. Valtteri Bottas through turn one. That'll give Kimi Raikkonen encouragement. Fireworks and flames for Max Verstappen, the winner of the German Grand Prix. Sebastian Vettel from 20th to 2nd, and keep the applause going for Danny Kvyat, a third podium in Formula One.
it was the race that had it all. The spins, crashes, crazy weather, and incredible results as the German Grand Prix thrilled. That's now 3 epic races we've had in a row: Austria, Great Britain, and Germany. So can Formula One's resurgence carry on this weekend? For the 12th race of the season in Hungary, Lewis Hamilton, 9th in Germany, holds a 41-point advantage over Mercedes teammate Valtteri Bottas, one of the 7 drivers not to finish in Germany. Analysis to come. Head to our Facebook page, joy/99.7, our WhatsApp line 0244340437, same as Telegram, or Twitter, that's a Joy Sports GH, to react to our questions of the day. We'll be in the US to bring you updates from the ongoing Washington Open and keep tabs on the Commonwealth welterweight title fight between Paddy Gallagher and Chris Jenkins. You are listening to The Locker Room on Joy 99.7 FM. Hello from me, George Addo Jr., and welcome.
Live on radio, live online, this is The Locker Room with George Addo Jr.
So football transfers to come shortly, but let's talk about some basketball. And with the NBA free agency nearly a full month old, there aren't many notable players remaining on either the open market or on the trade market. One player whose name continues to come up in trade speculation is former Golden State Warriors hitman Andre Iguodala. But joining me for some analysis right now in studio is Jordan Dunn. How are you doing, Jordan?
I'm doing good, thanks. Thanks for having me.
Good. So where do we start from? I think we should start from the Toronto Raptors. Yes, we know they've won this, and on everyone's lips, Toronto Raptors, how did they do it? They're enjoying out there in Canada and all of that. But, you know, Kawhi Leonard is the first ever finals MVP to spend the next season with another team. So let's deal with it. How damaging is this for the Toronto Raptors, and how bizarre is it for, the MVP of a final season to be moving out?
It's definitely a unique situation. Every team that was going after Kawhi Leonard was knowing they were taking a risk last season because the way he left the Spurs was unorthodox. He took some time off, and people thought he was even faking an injury. So when the Raptors went all in to acquire him, people knew this could happen. Kind of ended the best possible way for them because they won the championship over the Golden State Warriors, but it's certainly damaging to have your finals MVP leave for another team. Everyone thought it was going to be the Los Angeles Lakers, and it turns out he's going to the Clippers. So Toronto's in a unique spot where they have to defend their title without their finals MVP, and they've already kind of been knocked down, and people think their defense is over before it even started because he's off the team. But they do have some good young players like Pascal Siakam in there who are making strides, getting better at being offensive players. So it'll be interesting to see how it plays out, but it's definitely damaging to the Toronto Raptors' hopes at defending the title. But luckily for Kawhi Leonard, he really aimed his landing spot in the LA Clippers. He's got Paul George landing there with him. They're a very deep team. So he may even be able to go back-to-back just with different teams, which I believe that would be the first time that happened, at least for a finals MVP.
It'll be easy for anyone to say, yeah, look, let's give them a chance. Let's see how Toronto Raptors get to do all of this. But it's a bit of a psychological blow to them, no matter what it is. Anyone who comes up against the Toronto Raptors know that, yes, Kawhi Leonard is not there. And so they will feel much stronger up there mentally. That's a difficult one.
Yeah, it's probably unique for the locker room as well. They knew he could be a rental, but I think he was very tight-lipped throughout the season as to what his plans were for the next year. He was kind of given preferential treatment by the staff in terms of getting rest days and taking games off to nurse his injuries. But it's definitely strange for the players who were still there, like in the wake of all this happening, because they've just won a title and they spent a few months celebrating even with Kawhi Leonard in the group, and now he's just with another team in LA. So it'll be interesting to see how they pick up the pieces and move on.
Good you mentioned LA. Let's talk about LA now. Rather interesting. I know a bit about Paul George, whether leaving or staying, the Clippers. It's another one we'll try and sort out to see how Kawhi really gets comfortable playing in the Clippers. But let's talk about Lakers now. Lakers, because everybody's hoping to see LeBron James finally come to the party, is it? Most of the fans agreed a bit. This season is all about understanding the youngsters and all of that. And there's likely to be a wonderful partnership with Anthony Davis joining in there. Now, what are the prospects? And could we see Lakers really come up and do something really good?
I definitely think the Lakers could make some noise next year. The Western Conference is very stacked. There are a lot of great teams that could make noise in the playoffs, but LeBron James is the best player in the world. He wasn't quite the same after his groin injury last season, which is what a lot of people were pointing to as to why they missed the playoffs. But Anthony Davis coming over there from the New Orleans Pelicans is probably going to be the best player he's had the chance to play with. I mean, he had Kyrie Irving in Cleveland, which is another great player, but Anthony Davis is a different beast entirely. He's someone who can take over a game kind of like LeBron does. So it'll be interesting to see just how they fit together and how they play off of one another, considering they had to give up a good number of prospects to get Anthony Davis to Los Angeles in the first place. But I think all eyes are on LA next season between the Lakers having LeBron James and Anthony Davis and the Clippers having Paul George and Kawhi Leonard. It'll be interesting to see how those games in Staples Center go down between those two teams and how the fan bases react to having that much star power just in one city.
Yeah, we'll talk about the Brooklyn Nets shortly, but let's talk about the Golden State Warriors. They've been hit badly by injuries, maybe like Real Madrid are suffering in preseason, but it's fine. So they're going to be without Kevin Durant for the first time in a few seasons, and we know that he'll be nursing injury. Klay Thompson as well is back from injury. How do the Golden State Warriors get to handle the absence of Kevin Durant?
So the Golden State Warriors, I think people start to forget, were looking towards being a dynasty before they got Kevin Durant in the first place. So I think once they get Klay Thompson back from injury and they're all fully healthy, the big trio of Steph Curry, Draymond Green, and Klay Thompson, I think they can still be a very, very hard team to beat in the Western Conference. But an interesting note on Andre Iguodala is people are thinking if he gets his contract bought out by the Memphis Grizzlies, he may be in line to join the Lakers with LeBron James and Anthony Davis. That might be a bit of a revenge move to get back at the Warriors for trading him off, but I think the Warriors are better off than most people expect them to be, especially considering they got D'Angelo Russell, who's a very talented young guard, in the trade for Kevin Durant. But once Klay Thompson gets back and fully healthy, and obviously they nursed the rest of their squad back to health because they were very injured at the end of the finals, I think they could still be a very strong team. It's just the teams around them have gotten stronger as well.
Right, so let's end with the Brooklyn Nets. Now they've signed quite a number of good players, and it's looking good on the list. I'm sure you are nodding your head. Look at DeAndre and Ivan, KD. I mean, what do you expect from the Brooklyn Nets?
The Brooklyn Nets were a surprise team last season. Not a lot of people expected them to make the playoffs, and they just kept winning regardless of who was injured. But New York has kind of been without a powerhouse team for a long time. The Knicks have been bad for a number of years, and the Nets are kind of trying to take that spot over. DeAndre Jordan has kind of bounced around from team to team since leaving the Los Angeles Clippers a few years ago. And Kevin Durant is going to miss all of next season with an Achilles injury, but once he comes back, having the trio of Kyrie Irving, Kevin Durant, and DeAndre Jordan will definitely be a powerhouse in the Eastern Conference. It just depends on how they get players around them, whether it's drafting or trading, to complement them off the bench. But I think the Nets are definitely going to be a strong team in the East, and one that we're going to see making noise in the playoffs and maybe even go into the finals once they're all fully healthy.
NBA expert Jordan Dunn joining us on the show. It's always great. Thank you very much for joining us in the locker room.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Live on radio, live online, this is The Locker Room with George Addo Jr.
Let's do Formula 1 now, and we're next at the Hungaroring in Hungary, just over 10 miles northeast of the centre of Budapest, which first held the Grand Prix in 1986 and was the first race to be held behind the Iron Curtain. Hamilton won by 17 seconds last year, with the Ferraris of Sebastian Vettel and Kimi Raikkonen coming second and third respectively, while Verstappen's race ended on lap 5 with a loss of power. Charles Leclerc failed to complete a lap because of a suspension issue. Pit stops proved absolutely crucial last weekend, with Verstappen stopping 5 times on his way to victory, and the tactical strategy is often vital in Hungary. So what are we to expect? Joining me now, our expert on Formula 1, Raymond Yamado. Raymond, how are you doing? Thanks for the time.
I'm doing very well, George.
So maybe you need to catch your breath again, considering how erratic the German Grand Prix was. Did the results last week give this year's competition the fraction of the life it needed back?
Well, George, what happened last weekend was absolutely dramatic, and if you look at what the team Mercedes did, they were expecting that was going to be a good climax to their 125-year celebration in motorsport, but it didn't turn out to be the same, because we saw what Toto Wolff would call the Armageddon happen in Germany. But that definitely is what the competition needed, because now you see the likes of Sebastian Vettel finally rediscovering their form. See the likes of Max Verstappen giving some competition. Valtteri Bottas crashed out of that race, but definitely he's also one of the key competitors in there. At least Mercedes could not run away with a comfortable lead in that one. Lewis Hamilton did not stretch his dominance. We saw Sebastian Vettel claw back 16 points on him, and it's good for Ferrari at this moment, because it's just 12 races. We are getting into our 12th race this season, and there's still a lot to drive for, and so it still keeps the competition alive. It doesn't make it a one-horse race for Mercedes and Lewis Hamilton. So definitely the twist we needed in the tail, and just as we predicted Mercedes were going to dominate in Germany, but the script turned, and so clearly just the excitement we need for the competition this year.
Let's stick with the German Grand Prix, and let's spare a few words then for the brilliant Max Verstappen and the shell-shocked Charles Leclerc a bit. Maybe you could say his car, and it's fair to say for every failure at the German Grand Prix, there was an equal distribution of blame. The drivers not doing the bits, the weather coming in, and of course, the engineers not coming together. So how are you going to put this? Because I think they were both impressive on both ends of the scale. Verstappen did well. Leclerc had an absolute horrendous one.
Well, I think Leclerc has, shown a lot of promise this season. We saw him in Austria, we saw him in Bahrain. Those were races everybody for once thought Leclerc was going to win, but he capitulated in the dynamics of those races. Again in Germany, we saw him struggle with the curves, the penultimate curves in that competition. We saw him struggle, and so he just couldn't, make it into the podium, and that actually cut his run of podium finishes in the competition. He was hoping to get his fifth podium finish, his sixth actually this season, but he failed in that particular race, and that tells you the inexperience seems to be catching up with him, because in the first half of the race he was fantastic, but he capitulated just like he did in Bahrain and just like he did in Austria. So I think it's a good learning curve for the young man, and I expect that, looking at the promises shown, definitely he would come back. But I look at Max Verstappen, he's shown some consistency lately. You see his performances, and in the last 4 races he's had more points than Lewis Hamilton, and that clearly speaks to his brilliance on the circuit. And you look at that race, how he won it in wet conditions. Wet conditions has been a forte of Lewis Hamilton. So you look at how he won that race in wet conditions, and that certainly was the forte of Lewis Hamilton. But we've seen Max Verstappen show a lot of brilliance, and I think that is one to watch for the future. A bit more consistency, and Max Verstappen will be considered one of the top men for Red Bull, and he might just replicate the form of Sebastian Vettel when he was a driver at Red Bull, because the Red Bull team have been doing some fantastic job on the circuit this season.
And it's good to make that point, because Red Bull indeed have also got a couple of decisions spot on. So then, last year we know Ferrari did not do the 2-time Hungary winner Vettel any favours, as they delayed and then botched a stop, which left him behind Bottas, who repeatedly blocked off and delayed the German as Hamilton disappeared into the distance. Now, do you anticipate another good performance from Vettel? Hopefully this time, not one that will be hampered by his own team.
Well, George, in Germany, Vettel proved that he was one of the top-notch drivers to actually reckon with. And you look at Vettel and his performance in Germany, it clearly tells you that he still has some driving left in him this season, because to have started from 20th and finished second,
that was absolutely impressive.
That was truly remarkable. And it tells you that this is just the break he needed. This might just be the turnaround he needed in his competition this year. And you look at Vettel and how he hasn't won since August. It's something that bothers the driver, and he needs to stay focused. He's been speaking this week about the fact that the Ferrari need wins. Ferrari need to start winning races. And I think that this is just the best one for him to go into that competition feeling confident, getting the monkeys off his back, and trying to actually put in a spirited performance and a fantastic performance like he did in that comeback. I think that this race definitely should have Lewis Hamilton start as favourite, because we've seen him win 6 times in this Grand Prix. He holds the record of the most wins in Hungary, and so you go into this race feeling that he can actually replicate his form in the previous years. He's the defending champion in this year's competition, and definitely he stills up in this particular one. But I think that a lot will depend on the psychology of this Mercedes team, because we saw them capitulate in the last race, and a lot has to change for them to actually go into this race and perform, because we know the Hungary track, the Hungaroring, is a very tricky track. It's very twisty, it has lots of curves and very bumpy, and it's not a fast-paced track, and so Ferrari will not come in with their pace, Mercedes will not come in their pace. It depends solely on the traction and braking of cars, and so it's one area that would prove very decisive in the game. We all know Red Bull have a very good chassis when it comes to traction and braking, and so Red Bull will be in the race. We'll see also performances from Vettel, and we will definitely see Mercedes also go head to head for this one. But I still think that Lewis Hamilton is odds-on favourite to actually dominate this one. But looking at the performance of Vettel in the last race, we cannot write him off.
Okay, so you're on the road of predictions, so let's keep you there. Can we just talk about who you think will be earning a podium finish then?
Well, George, you can't take anything away from Lewis Hamilton. Excuses were given with regards to why he did not perform in Germany. He was not well.
He wasn't well. We're not really going to take all of that. The weather is crazy, and it's crazy. Now you've got to deal with it. He couldn't deal with it.
Well, he wasn't well, and a lot of things happened in that race. He lost his right front axle. Yeah. He made a lot of mistakes with the pit stop. He was penalized at a point. He made an uncharacteristic spin, and all those things went against him. But you can expect Lewis Hamilton to learn from those mistakes and correct it. So definitely Lewis Hamilton is odds-on favourite to win this one. You see Valtteri Bottas coming after crashing in the last race. Valtteri Bottas should be able to come back into the podium finishes this time around. And I still see Vettel and Max Verstappen actually compete for the third spot. I don't see Vettel winning this one, despite the fact that he would come in with a lot of promise, but I still think that he would have to fight for that third place with Max Verstappen. I don't see Max Verstappen winning this one, because Red Bull haven't proven, despite their advantage on the track and their chassis, they haven't proven that they can dominate on that on the Hungaroring. And so I still see Lewis Hamilton, Valtteri Bottas 1-2 bouncing back from the Germany disaster, and then
Vettel, who's going
Vettel or Max Verstappen finishing in third.
Raymond Yamada with the analysis on Formula 1. Thank you very much, Raymond, for your time.
You're welcome, George.
Very soon we'll be Lighthouse. There's more to come on the show. All right, so let's hear from you on our WhatsApp line 0244340437. Yes, we'll be getting into our transfers in a bit. Yes, to find out what your clubs are up to, yeah. And I'm sure one or two of you, for Manchester United fans, well. Dybala doesn't look like he's coming to Manchester United after all. There's a big discussion to come later on. We have the Labadi Beach Hotel, the Lagoon Bar, from 7 p.m. all the way to 8:30. We'll have a discussion there. Let's see you there. But now let's check out on the clubs, your favorite European clubs. How are they wrapping up ahead of the start of the very, very big season? And you know, this weekend, of course, on Sunday, there's the Community Shield between Liverpool and Manchester City. So now Moses Yeboah has been keeping tabs on what your clubs are doing and how are they just wrapping up the preseason.
Real Madrid rounded up their preseason campaign in Germany in the Audi Cup. They lost 1-0 to Tottenham in the 4-team tournament at the Allianz Arena before wrapping it up with a 5-3 victory over Fenerbahce. Los Blancos have 2 more games to officially end their preseason campaign when they take on Red Bull Salzburg on Wednesday before taking on AS Roma on 11th August. Zidane's headache headed into the new La Liga season is how to remedy their defensive frailties after conceding 16 goals in 5 games. FC Barcelona have not really been very much active in preseason as they've played just 2 games with recent against Vissel Kopp, which they won 2-0 last 2 weeks. The Blaugrana will resume preparation ahead of the new season when they take on Arsenal in the Joan Gamper Trophy final on Sunday before rounding their preseason up with Napoli on 7th August. Frank Lampard and his Chelsea side, after their 2-1 win over Barcelona in the Rakuten Cup, have gone on to beat Redden 4-3 and Red Bull Salzburg 5-3. The Blues will climax their preseason in Germany when they face Borussia Mönchengladbach before their Premier League clash with Manchester United on 11th August. Liverpool gave themselves a much-needed morale boost on Wednesday ahead of the Community Shield game against Manchester City on Sunday. The European champions came from behind to end their disappointing preseason campaign with a 3-1 win over Lyon in Geneva. Prior to that, they had lost 3-2 to Dortmund, 2-1 to Sevilla and drew 2-2 with Sporting Lisbon. Elsewhere, Manchester United, who are enjoying a fantastic preseason so far with 5 wins out of 5, take on AC Milan in the International Champions Cup on Saturday to end their preseason. Bayern Munich, who lost 6-5 on penalties to Tottenham in the Audi Cup final, will be hoping to bounce back when they square up to Borussia Dortmund in the DFL Super Cup final on Saturday. And winners of the French League are Paris Saint-Germain will clash with Coupe de France champions Rennes in the French Champions Trophy on Saturday.
Thank you, Moses Yeboah.
Live on radio, live online, this is The Locker Room with George Addo Jr.
All right, so we welcome your thoughts ahead of the Liverpool-Manchester City clash, the Community Shield, the precursor or the curtain raiser, traditional curtain raiser of the new English Premier League season. Let's find out which of the 2 teams you think is absolutely prepared, very prepared to win the title this season. We'll be picking all of that from you as well. I'm sure you've kept your notes on preseason, and there's more to come later this evening when we meet at the Lagoon Bar at the Labadi Beach Hotel. But now, let's go for the Joy Sports BBC 2-Way series. I had a great chat with the BBC's John Bennett, certainly back and well rested from that wonderful adventure in Egypt. John had great stuff and a lot to talk about with what has been happening this week. Enjoy it. Thanks for your time this weekend, and the race to sign players before the transfer deadline day is on, and of course the window is understandably active. So let's start with the transfers, and from Arsenal, how crucial is the signing of Nicolas Pepe then for Unai Emery?
Well, he's a fantastic player. We know he was sensational last season for Lille, and I think he was only second behind Kylian Mbappe if you add up his goals and his assists. So from being an exciting player, he turned into a player who seemed to have the full package, seemed to be able to find an end product to all his skill and flair. So, yeah, very exciting player. The likes of Napoli were in for him. There was talk also of Manchester United being in for him, although they denied that. So, brilliant signing. I do see 2 issues, though. The first issue is I hope they give him time. I hope they're patient with him at Arsenal. I think he could take a while to adapt to English football, to the Premier League. Don't expect him to fire straight away. I hope he does. I hope I'm wrong, but I think he may need a bit of time to adapt to English football. The second issue is, I don't know why Arsenal are not trying harder to sign defenders. We know that they're chasing Tierney, the left-back from Celtic. He would be an excellent signing. But they need a centre-back, even two centre-backs desperately. Koscielny is effectively on strike at the moment. Mustafi is heading out of the door. Neither of those two players, I think, are good enough anymore to be in a top 4 Premier League team. So they need defenders, Arsenal. Pepe is a fantastic signing, but they need to get defenders into the building, and time is running out.
Let's talk about Manchester United, and Romelu Lukaku appears to be on the move, with Juventus very ready to offload Dybala in the swap deal. How important is the move away from Old Trafford to Lukaku, and will Dybala suit United?
Yeah, I think Lukaku's time at Old Trafford is over. He needs to get out of the club. It is clear that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer doesn't see him as a Manchester United player in the future. And Lukaku's full of talent, isn't he? He really is a fantastic striker if used in the right way. In a way, you have to build your tactics around him. I think he's probably struggled at Manchester United compared to Everton because, you know, he's a player who likes space in behind defences, and you won't get that when you're playing for Manchester United. But you look at his stats, and they're not bad at all, his goal-scoring stats since he's been at Old Trafford. I think he'll do really well at Juventus. He'll have some great players around him. And yeah, I think he'll be an excellent signing for Juventus. I'm really excited about the prospect of Dybala heading to the Premier League. I hope this deal happens. I think he's more versatile than Romelu Lukaku. I think he would fit in better to the way Ole Gunnar Solskjaer wants to play, with a lot of pace up front. And, you know, I think he could be an exciting signing for Manchester United. Again, though, United needed a complete overhaul this summer, and I don't think they've had that. So I still don't think that they're going to be challenging right there at the top. I think they'll do well to get into the top 4.
So then, the traditional curtain raiser of the big football season is set for Sunday as Liverpool lock horns with Manchester City in the Community Shield. Which of the two teams, though, is better prepared?
I think both of them have work to do. You know that Sadio Mane is still on holiday, so Liverpool won't be on at full strength. He's still on holiday after helping Senegal to the final of the Africa Cup of Nations. As for City, you've got the likes of Otamendi and Jesus, who've only just returned to training this week after their extended summer breaks following the Copa America. That's the same for Aguero as well. So neither team at full strength. I don't think we should read too much into the performance, into the result when it comes to the rest of the season. We know that hopefully, again, they'll push each other all the way this season in the Premier League. I can't see anyone else catching them. I think Tottenham, Chelsea, Manchester United, Arsenal are miles away from Manchester City and Liverpool. What's interesting is, though, that they've both been pretty quiet in the transfer window. City have brought in one high-profile signing, the Spanish midfielder Rodri from Atletico Madrid. They've lost Vincent Kompany, who's now the player-manager at Anderlecht. I think that is a big miss, isn't it, in terms of leadership? Can they plug that gap? He's a big influence. He was a big influence at City. And Jurgen Klopp, surprisingly, hasn't added to his first-team squad. They've signed a couple of youngsters, but they haven't signed any players, which I think is a bit of a gamble. Sir Alex Ferguson, the ex-Manchester United manager, always used to say, you have to build from a position of strength. When you're at your best, don't rest on your laurels. Always try and improve the squad. And Liverpool haven't done that. So I wonder if they'll pay the price this season.
Can you bring us up to date with the latest transfers involving Premier League clubs with 6 days to the end of the summer transfer window?
Yes, they're names to keep an eye on. Harry Maguire, of course, that the race to sign him. Manchester United interested, but Leicester City don't need to sell. They've set a high mark, a high figure. We're told that is around £90 million. Will Manchester United pay that figure? I think this might get done. I think Manchester United desperately need a centre-back and may, in the end, move to that figure. Harry Maguire not playing for Leicester in their final pre-season friendly on Friday night. He's been left out because he's a bit distracted by all this transfer talk. So that tells you a lot, doesn't it, about whether this deal will be done. Look out for Moise Kean as well, the Juventus striker, a move to Everton. We all expect that to happen over the next 24 hours. The Fernandes move is interesting. Probably Tottenham will make a signing, I think, before the transfer window closes for English clubs next Thursday. And yes, there's lots of things bubbling away. I think it's going to be a busy few days. Arsenal, of course, with Tierney chasing the left back from Celtic. Very, very busy. And then the football all gets underway next weekend as well. So it's a great time to be a football fan.
Finally, we know the nominees for the Best FIFA Football Awards after the revelation on Wednesday in 4 categories. Are you comfortable with the release?
Yeah, it's always difficult, isn't it, at this time of year to decide who's going to be the best player of the year. I guess we know primarily who's up there by who got to the Champions League final, for example. Virgil van Dijk is a player for me who will be up there. You've got the players who did well at the Copa America, who did well at AFCON. I really hope that Sadio Mane will be up there in the running as well, having won the Champions League, having got to the final of the Cup of Nations. You still have to talk about Messi, even though he didn't do well on the European stage. I still think that he's still the best player in the world. Cristiano Ronaldo, can you really talk about him this season, despite the fact that he only won Serie A? I think it's always going to be competitive. Very, very difficult. I have a bit of an issue with these awards because football is a team game at the end of the day. But for me, if I had to choose the best player at the moment, it will be Virgil van Dijk.
The BBC's John Bennett there in the Joy Sports BBC two-way series, so that's really fine. Sets the tone then, and we'll be looking forward to this blockbuster between Liverpool and Manchester City.
Aguero in the penalty area, tries to lob the goalkeeper and succeeds! Superbly taken by Aguero!
Champions League is a dream for all the teams to be there.
Oxlade-Chamberlain, who gets past Fernandinho, shooting goal! What a start! What a strike from Oxlade-Chamberlain, scoring at Anfield!
I think this year we belong there, to be honest.
Corner, it's pulled out low. Gundogan, first time shot, takes an deflection. Manchester City have the second goal, and it's Company who punches the air with delight as they increase their lead.
Happy to be qualifying as the second time in this club, so we are new in that position. So of course we're so happy for that.
Oh my goodness, what a goal! Salah has scored from 45 yards. That is an unbelievable finish from Mo Salah. And what a game in Anfield!
It should not be a big surprise.
David Silva, sharp turn! David Silva sealed it! David Silva now left-footed as David Silva scores a third goal for Manchester City.
We're not talking about
30 metres out from goal. Mane! It's a 5-star performance.
That's exactly the sound, and we're some 6 days away to transfer deadline day. Quick reminders, we begin with a transfer countdown warm-up at the Labadi Beach Hotel, Lagoon Bar. Let's see you tonight from 7 to 8:30. And then our big show, the transfer countdown, is live on Joy 99.7 FM from 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. That will be on Thursday, August 8th, next week Thursday. Also on television, we're on Joy News Channel on Multi TV, and all that there is to come your way now. We're activating our phone lines now. I need you to tell me what really has troubled you the most in this transfer window as we prepare to see you guys later tonight. 0302-216-541. 0302-216-541. Abeku is standing by to ensure you're safe. And I'll be giving you the updates, what's been happening so far in the transfer market, and we'll go through that. Ray Kwampov will be joining me shortly, but let's quickly hear from you now. Let's find out what you think is the most problem or the dangerous problem your club hasn't quite solved. So 0302-216-541. Let's hear from you. In the meantime, I can bring you some updates on what's happening in the transfer world. Manchester City have rejected a £72 million bid from Bayern Munich for the German forward Leroy Sané. City wants £137 million for Sane if he does not wish to sign an extension to his contract, which expires in June 2021. So clearly Manchester City are in the market. We'll be getting to more of the updates, but I've got a call on the line. Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, George.
How are you doing? Your name and where you're calling from?
I'm Sir George from Sakama.
Sir George, are we seeing you tonight?
Hey, likely.
Okay, likely.
It's exciting times,
exciting times. We need to see you.
Very exciting after boring outing.
Yeah. So let's talk about it. Your club?
Anyway, I'm a National fan.
Arsenal fan. Okay.
Die in the wood.
Are you very excited about everything that's happened so far?
I'm excited with Pepe, but we need to strengthen our defense. If we're able to strengthen our defense, wow. We'll be a team to beat.
But we've got just 6 days to the end of the transfer window. We've heard of a left back you're chasing from Celtic back.
I know we are feverishly working on some left back and one centre back.
Okay. Yeah. So you're hopeful that things will work out for you, right?
Yeah, things work out to beat them. Because last year, we had a bad defense, but our striker was able to emerge a goal kick.
Okay.
That's also our out front is potent.
All right. George, I get you. So it's not bad for you. Thank you very much, George, for your call. We've got another call on the line. Hello, good afternoon.
Hello, good afternoon, George. Jude from Sprintex.
Jude from Sprintex. Jude, I hope we're seeing you tonight, right?
Oh, yeah. I'll be live.
Live at the Lagoon Bar, Labadi Beach Hotel. So, which club do you support?
Real Madrid.
Oh, Real Madrid. Charlie, you've taken Hazard and he's eating and he's looking bigger.
I couldn't sleep when Atletico scored 7-3.
Oh my god. But
have to do something.
Yeah, you've got
have to do something.
Yeah.
It's very, very bad.
Yeah.
Organize it well.
Yes, organize it well, eh?
Yeah,
you are scared. You are scared for the season.
We are not scared.
Okay.
But we hope when Casemiro and Eder Militao come back, it will be better.
Everything will be better for you.
See you soon tonight. Thank you very much.
All right, yeah, we'll see you then. Let's see you in the evening. We've got another call on the line. Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, George.
Yes, your name and where you're calling from?
My name is Sam, calling from Tessano.
Sam from Tessano. Sam, which club do you support?
Arsenal.
Oh, Arsenal.
Yeah, I'm a Ghana fan.
Have you found any defender you think Unai can chase?
Well, I don't know. I don't actually care about our defense. I want to score and score.
Oh, I see. Maybe something that we are not paying attention to. Arsenal want to score and score. Score 11 goals and concede 2 or concede 10.
Yeah. We want to score. I think if we have a good force in front, those at the back now can handle it.
Okay.
So, at the front. Pepe, good signing, but price. The good news is, Arsenal is not paying cash.
Yeah.
We are paying about 28 upfront and then spread the rest for 5 years.
So you're happy?
I'm happy. Otherwise, 72 for Pepe. Come on.
You don't believe it?
I don't think it's worth it.
Is it because he played the AFCON? Anyway. You guys like the good players who play the AFCON, but it's good. Thank you very much. We've got another call on the line, have we? 0302216541. Let's hear from you quickly, and of course you also indicate if you're joining us at the Lagoon Bar. Rico for joining me in studio. Rico, how are you doing?
I'm good, George. How are you?
Yeah, I'm fine. You had a sprint of yourself. But it's good. Let's see what we can do in the next 10 minutes. Our phone lines are still active. 0302216541. You get to meet the entire team at the Lagoon Bar, so let's hear from you. And remember, our show proper then is on August 8th on Joy 99.7 FM and on the Joy News channel on Multi TV. So, Rico, where do we start from? Can we clear it up now? Dybala is no more going to Manchester United?
Well, he appeared in Turin yesterday, after his extended break. He played in the Copa America, and it was reported that he was supposed to have a meeting with Mauricio Sarri. Now, after his arrival, unfortunately, there were no signs of him meeting Mauricio Sarri. But what's been clear is that Dybala does not want to leave the club. And there's also been several reports that if he's going to move to Manchester United, it's going to require a hefty wage,
pay rise.
And
he was not interested.
The reports were suggesting somewhere around £350,000 a week. That would make him the second highest paid player in the Premier League alongside Mesut Ozil. I remember Manchester United, they have the top paid player, that's Alexis Sanchez on 500,000. So
amazing.
That would require some financial power, something that United do have. But if Dybala does not want to move, then United should be considering.
Should considering that. So if I ask you to put this on a scale, they've lost him. Dybala
perhaps not going to Manchester United?
I think he could leave. And it would take a lot.
Want to go.
Yeah, that's the thing. Even if he leaves, I still think he would push for a move in Italy. We are told that Inter are also suitors for the Argentine, so it would take a lot for him to move all the way to England. And considering the fact that he would move from a Champions League playing club to a Europa League playing club,
another one that he might not be very excited about. Yeah. Okay, so but Lukaku is going to find his way in Juventus.
He is moving. Either he moves to Inter or Juventus, but he is happy with the move though. Yeah. He's really happy.
Okay, guys, when you meet us, you can tell us some more what you think. Now we have to talk about Harry Maguire. How close are Manchester United to it? It looked like Leicester City are still holding out for £90 million, and Manchester United are still stuck on the 80.
Yeah, so what happened was that United started from 70, Leicester said no, United went to 75, Leicester said 80 million, and United bring 80 million, and Leicester are like, wait, bring 85. So it's a typical case of, trying to drag the most out of your suitor or your buyer. It's something that we usually see at Cantamount when you go and buy something. So I'm sure they would come to a consensus eventually before the deadline, because Maguire has been dropped from the squad to
because he wants to move.
Because he does want the move, and that's some hefty amount of money that Leicester shouldn't be letting slip through their hands.
All right, let's do the rest very, very quickly on what we've got, at least for now, before we step into it. And I was just talking about Manchester City and Leroy Sané. It's an interesting one there, because Man City do not exactly want Leroy Sané to go. Sané wants to push him move. Then Man City are now calling for what, £137 million that we're talking about?
Yeah, that would put him...
That's outrageous, isn't it?
Very. And that would make him number 3 in the all-time list in terms of expensive players, and just below Mbappe and Neymar. But Sané, I think that it's more of a national pride to play for Bayern Munich. You know that most German footballers, every German footballer would love to play for Bayern
at some stage.
And at some stage in their career. And you look at what happened to him in the 2018 World Cup. He had a phenomenal season coming into that World Cup, and he didn't make the squad. And you saw the likes of Julian Brandt, who played in the Bundesliga, getting the nod out ahead of him. So I think it's something that he knows, and he would love to definitely move to Germany, play where his family is and all that. But it's going to be tough, because Pep Guardiola has publicly said that he likes Leroy Sané and he would love to keep him at the club.
So Man City will try and make it very, very difficult. Now, we had left one story, Manchester United, but that's actually linked with what's happening in Spurs as well. Spurs are going in hard, 6 days to the transfer deadline day. But more importantly is the chase for Bruno Fernandes. That's interesting. Manchester United have not quite done the job on getting Bruno Fernandes, and Spurs are right in now trying to get him.
Yeah, I think Manchester United, they've been distracted by the deals of Dybala, and we've also had something around the lines of Savage from last year. So they've not really been focused on this Bruno Fernandes deal, and I think that they're spreading themselves too thin, and that's something that Tottenham Hotspur are trying to capitalize on. We've heard that they're trying to make a late move for Bruno Fernandes of Sporting Lisbon. Now the thing is that Fernandes didn't say the particular club that he would love to move to. He just said that he would love to move to England. So that puts everything on red alert, especially if you're in England. And Tottenham Hotspur, with Daniel Levy coming out to say that, it's now time to pump some money into the team. We could possibly see Lo Celso and Bruno Fernandes moving to Spurs, but do not rule out United.
Yeah, but of course, Spurs finalists for the UEFA Champions League. They are still in the Champions League, and that's where Manchester United friends, when we join you later tonight, we'll have to talk about this. Is the bargaining power pretty, poor or low now for Manchester United in getting players into the club? Because they have not been really good in the last few years, and they're still in the Europa League, is it?
Yeah, I think so. And it was very imperative that they did qualify for the Champions League last year. Unfortunately, they didn't, and they're really struggling to get players in now. And they have to look at, lower league players who are not already playing in the Champions League, because it would be really difficult to convince someone to move from a Champions League club to a Europa League club. But then again, you look at Arsenal and the signings that they've made this summer, you still have to remind yourself that Arsenal would also be playing the Europa League, because Nicolas Pepe himself said that his agent told him that he had offers from Manchester United, Liverpool, and I think one other club, Napoli.
And he decided to go for Arsenal in the Europa League with Unai Emery.
Yeah, so it's I think
it's interesting.
Yeah,
some United fans will argue that no, that's not the point. The point is that we've just been poor at getting the players when we have to. because Arsenal cannot be beating us since I'm top. Well, Van de Beek is a big one. We enjoyed his play in the UEFA Champions League, and it looks like he's settling with Real Madrid.
Yeah, there's been reports that a Real Madrid bid has been accepted today, and prior to that bid, Van de Beek had already agreed personal terms with Real Madrid, and he's set to sign a 5 to 6 year deal to join Real Madrid. Now, if you've watched Real Madrid during the preseason, I think that they've lacked a lot of drive from midfield. That's something that the Dutch midfielder would bring to the team, but what does this deal leave Pogba? Does that mean the Real Madrid will continue their pursuit, or was this a fallen back option? So it leaves a lot of interesting times ahead. Remember that although the English Premier League window closes next week, other clubs close still by.
Yeah.
So Pep Guardiola, Manchester United should be very worried.
At Liverpool, because we know the defender Dejan Lovren is a target for Roma. And they're looking, will that even materialize? Because Liverpool have not gone out buying so much, and we've said they've not really tried to bolster what they have or gone in for reinforcements. Do you think anything like that can happen to them?
I think it's possible, and Lovren could consider that. He's won the Champions League with Liverpool, but here's the case that he needs to reassess and ask himself, where does he really fall in this Liverpool defensive line? Because arguably, if you're looking at their lineup from last season, Joel Matip and Van Dijk are the starting pair. Now, Van Dijk is probably going to play every game, and Joe Gomez is right behind Joel Matip for backup. So Lovren is kind of like a fourth choice midfielder in that Liverpool setup. So is he going to get a lot of games? Is he going to enjoy his time in Liverpool? Certainly, I do not think so. And Roma gives him a wonderful opportunity. Remember that Manolas has left Roma to join Napoli, so there is a void in their defense. And if he does move to Italy, he's assured of more playing time.
Well, we're told that Malcolm has just left Barcelona.
Yeah, we just saw a picture of him in the Zenit St. Petersburg.
Don't say anymore. The rest we'll talk about it at the lagoon. So join us there. Thank you very much, Rick Rampoffel, for joining me on the show. Well, we're just getting ready for a new season. The man who is reading news up next is a Barcelona fan, and of course, he'll be hoping that his team can do a lot. There's a lot to talk about. Let's see you later tonight. Lagoon Bar, Labadi Beach Hotel. Sports Arena is back on Sunday with the EPL club. So it's one that we are all looking forward to. That's it for our show. My name is George Ado Jr. So we'll meet next week. Be good. But of course, I'll see you later this evening.